Yo, how's it going, Tom? Thanks for popping back in. How are you today? Not bad. I guess we're going. Oh, hey, what's up, Nigel? Yep. Yeah, Matt just texted me about it, and sounds good to me. I'm sure I can spare the time on Saturday. So, and if we're going outdoors, we're busting out that Mosine. I'm excited. I haven't shot that thing in a while. Yeah, thanks for popping on the stream too. I really appreciate it. Just playing some Apex and catching a stream before I go see my girl. Awesome. Sounds like a good day. I'll be here streaming till about 5, and then I'm playing some World of Warships and working around the house later. Nice simple day. So at some point on stream, I'm going to be showing how I do my homemade no sculpt tree models. But we're going to start with continuing more on this guy because I'm so close to having him done. Just got to do some touch up on the bone white color. Got to do some highlights on the gold, and we'll go from there. How's everything coming back together after the bathroom? Oh, it hasn't. Uh, yeah, the house is still all tore apart. Waiting on the contractors to actually say, hey, we can get started in here. So everything's been tore apart. Most of my stuff is still in boxes laying around everywhere. And yeah, I'm just waiting for when we get the call saying, hey, they're going to send the tile guy in for the bathroom. They're starting on the upstairs, fixing the tile first, and then they'll work their way downstairs. But they got to like redo all the carpet upstairs and everything. Um, but yeah, it's been like super slow getting to that point, and we're just kind of patiently waiting while our house is tore apart. It's been real fun. Oh yeah, the whole upstairs like kitchen, all the floors been tore out. The ceiling, the drywall on the ceiling has been all tore out. We're getting the can lights replaced. We have to redo the carpeting upstairs because we had to tear out the carpeting on both sets of stairs, and they can't just easily match it. So we're just having all new carpet put in. Some things we're paying a little extra for, so that way we can have it done a certain way and done better, rather than just what the insurance was going to cover. But yeah, overall it's been one big mess. It's been super fun. Definitely an adventure. 0 out of 10 would not advise going through it. Why am I dropping my paintbrush like crazy lately? I think my hands are just so dry. It just slips right out of my hand. I love how absolutely hooked on shooting Matt has gotten. Yeah, just right. Seems like every couple weeks he sends me a message like all geeked about either a new gun he's getting, going shooting, something. It's pretty funny. Brother's girlfriend's dad died this week and he was an ex-cop with an arsenal. She said I can pick anything he's got to keep, so as much as I wish. Oh man, yeah, that is a terrible situation as to how you're getting it, but still kind of cool that they're letting you just kind of pick something and take it. That sucks. Anything out of the collection that is really striking your fancy? Not sure what he had yet. Don't want to be hoovering up some guy. Yeah, that makes sense. God, this brush is starting to fray on me. Actually, I'll get that with the gold. You working on a commission? This one's just personal. Um, first couple days for the stream, I kind of just stuck to just some personal stuff, just to have some fun and get used to it. Um, actually did do a little bit on a commission the first day, but I wanted something a little more exciting than watch me paint a whole bunch of base coats on a piece of terrain. So I moved over to this. This is one of my Terminator sorcerers for my Thousand Suns army for 40k. Finally getting these guys painted up. It's absolutely insane. There's no way I could be steady enough to paint like that. It's tricky. A lot of it is either tricks of how you hold the miniature and your brush, tricks of the angle you have your brush on the miniature, as well as oop, not slipping like that, and as well as using various techniques to achieve a look without having to be super like precise with everything. I'm huge when it comes to using washes on the model to really get the shadowing and details without actually having to sit there painting them. Yesterday my hand was like super shaky, so like any of the fine detail stuff, I'm like sitting there trying to get it in my hands, like, oh my god, it was horrible. But I got past it and just didn't do the super fine detailed stuff if I knew I couldn't really steady my hand. I usually split joint. That's one way to do it, John. That's how you paint like Bob Ross. Just put happy little trees everywhere. We're gonna make some happy little trees later. They won't totally be done on stream because of all the time it takes for the paste to dry, but it's my method of making no sculpt trees. It's a very easy method. It just takes a while because of all the layers of pastes that have to dry. But I'll be showing the beginning steps of how I do those. It's pretty much like the same steps you would go about for making like a wireframe and all that for actually sculpting. But then instead of sculpting, I use layers of tape and pastes, and it ends up making a nice, quick little tree that ends up working out. That's why I'm here to see. Happy little trees, cool. I'm just doing a little more work on this Terminator, and then I'll be moving over to doing those. I got all the supplies pretty much out next to me. A couple things still behind me on the shelf, but we'll get going on that pretty soon. I just need to warm up. I like how I'm using warm up as an excuse to work on this guy. I just really want to finish him. That's all it is. It'll be my first Terminator I've painted for my army. So excited. John, have you talked to anybody recently from the painting group? How's everybody doing? I feel like I've traded numbers with some of them guys and never hear anything from them. Only person who is John and Dave. Gotcha. Yeah, it's been a while since I reached out to Dave. I gotta catch up with him again soon. I really do miss those painting meetups. Lurk. Thank you, Dragon Run, for the lurk. Appreciate you stopping by. I'll eventually get my commands hooked up. I still haven't done that yet this weekend. I think that's what I'm going to be working on tomorrow. Getting all that stuff hooked up properly so I can do proper shoutouts. Everybody can hit the lurk and get a little message for it. All that fun stuff. No. Shit. Okay, that worked. I think we'll go ahead and get all the gold polished up on here, and then I'll start on showing you guys the trees. Damn it. Oh, I gotta touch that up later. Hey, what's up? How's it going, Chaos Augur? Thanks for swinging by. Appreciate you stopping in. Working a little more on my Thousand Sun Sorcerer before we get moving on how I do my trees for terrain. So I'm just kind of working through the gold trim, and then I will jump over and start showing you guys that process. What do you got going on today? Miniatures are looking good. Awesome, thank you. Appreciate it. I absolutely love my color scheme I picked out for this army. It works so well with all the trim that they have. Just taking care of the little one. Figured as much. Dad life over there. Not much left on the gold. Just his a little bit more on the cloak. And his arms and gun. A little close up for you guys. I think when I paint miniatures, I'm gonna have to bring my camera down a little bit, get you guys a little closer for when I'm actually painting them. I don't want to move it right now since I'm gonna be switching over to something that needs it farther out though. Oh, Nigel, if you're still here, I saw your post about not being able to post in that group or whatever. I've seen that out of a few people on my Facebook now lately. Like I have one person, she's like totally banned from making groups or posting in groups. It's really weird, and she has no clue why. Yeah, I got a group posting ban. I cannot post in any groups or reply to public posts. One of my common groups for nuked as well, so I'm thinking. Gotcha. One too many guillotine memes. Alright, I think we're gonna call it there on the gold. Give you guys a close up here. So now it's just the base on this guy, and I think I can call him done. But let's move over to what today is going to be about. Working on trees, showing you guys how to paint, or not paint trees, how to build trees. Let me grab the supplies and show you what you need. Tape. Where's the trees? I'm starting on them right now, Altamo. It's happening right now. I needed to warm up. I needed to let some people filter in here so they can watch it. I just had to get the warm up on the Terminator, you know. Because I'm all excited to finally have a Terminator painted. Alright, so things you need for the trees. You need masking tape, any type of aluminum foil, or aluminium, however you want to say it. Wire of two different sizes. I go with, what is this stuff? Usually around 1/8 diameter and 1/16 diameter for the wire. I've actually got a little bit right there, so we're going to start with that. Process is pretty darn simple. What I start with is take your 1/8 diameter, get roughly however long you want, like the largest, like the tallest branch, and also think about how much root length you want. So on this one, I'm going to do about 11" for the length. Here, let me get this out of here so the focusing is not weird. Kind of straighten it out a little bit, and then I make about 3 of that size. They don't all have to be the exact same length. Like this one, I'll actually chop down a little bit more, so that way you have branches at different heights. And we'll do one more out of this wire. And we'll do another one at about 10 as well. So for starters, take your longest one, kind of bend it a little bit so you get a spot that's going to be your offshoot for a root, and just kind of straighten it up and get it to the top. Take another one of yours down here, leave a little excess for how your root's going to be, and start twisting it around. Usually with the aluminum armature wire, it's pretty easy just to manipulate with your hands, so you don't really have to worry about using like any type of like tools or anything for it. Usually I will have a pair of pliers nearby, just so that way if I need to like tighten something up or really get a nice fold to it, like right here, I can just kind of hit that and twist it over a little bit more, a little tighter. So there's the first two. We can even wrap this one once more and bring that up. And then on your third one, Same thing, and I always try to keep them twisting in the same way, so that way they kind of like follow in the grooves that the first couple made. Sometimes it's a little bit trickier to do that, but like that, I'm actually going the wrong way. And just something like that. So that way I got my offshoots for my branches. And the cool part with this method is because it's all just layers of paste and nothing's like an actual hardened clay, you can actually manipulate them a bit after they're totally done. You got to be careful with it. If you manipulate them too much, you can crack the pastes and it'll mess up with however you painted them. But usually if that happens, I just take some of my flocking and put like mosses or anything over there so that way it covers it. But kind of right there, that's going to be our little start for the tree. From here, you take the smaller wire and you just keep doing the same thing. With the smaller wire, you might want to make them a little bit longer because you're going to be twisting them around a little bit more and using them for even smaller, even smaller offshoot branches. And what I tend to do for the small wire is I'll start somewhere near the middle and just give it a spot to hold. And I'll wrap it out on one of the roots and then back on itself. So it's kind of like that. Gives you some bite with the foil when you start putting that down. And then just start bringing that up and wrapping it on your trunk as well. And we'll go around this one and use it like that as a little offshoot branch. Just like that. Sometimes, since you're wrapping the small stuff a lot more, sometimes you have to go like almost nearly double the size of the larger one in length, so that way you can really wrap it around the tree and get more of it on there. Because what it's doing is it's creating all kinds of little areas that the tin foil is really going to latch onto, so it doesn't slide around before you start putting the tape on. Let's see. And sometimes if you do wrap it the opposite way, it's not a bad thing because it adds more of that texture for that foil. And you're just kind of making a whole frame for your tree. I'll usually use about 3 of the thicker wires and 4 to 5-ish of the smaller wires, just to have variances in the branches, more texture to it, and more to work with. And I'm not even really tying any of this wire in. I'm just literally sticking it into little spots of the previous wire to catch and give it a hold while I start wrapping the smaller piece. You want to try to avoid having too many spots that it really like sticks out, because no matter how much foil and tape you put over that, it'll make for like a weird lump in the tree. Sometimes that's not a bad thing because you can use it as like a little weird growth in the tree or anything like that. We're going to do one more so I have another offshoot coming off of this top branch. Oh, hey, Bite Size Liz, thank you for the follow. And my alert worked. Holy crap. My alerts were not working at all on day one. Thank you for stopping by the stream. Thank you for the follow. I really appreciate that. And welcome. Today we are going through my method for making miniature trees for terrain that involve no sculpting. It's all just a method of wireframe, aluminum foil, tape, and then a series of pastes. Oh, I didn't show which pastes I use. One second. Where's my other one? There it is. I use Mod Podge Matte Finish and Woodland Scenics Flex Paste. The Mod Podge helps seals the tape when I get to that spot, and the Flex Paste gives it the overall coating. I'm doing well today, Liz. Just having some fun, getting the hang of this whole streaming thing. Today's my third day live, and yeah, having a blast with it. So, oh, let's see, Paul Blair 888. Hey, Paul, how are ya? Thanks for the follow. Thanks for stopping by the stream. We're doing miniature trees today. And you want to avoid that, like see how I was starting to bend it and it kind of started cutting across there like that? You want to avoid that from happening so that way when you go put your tapes on and everything, you don't want a spot where it goes thin and then gets thicker again. Oh yeah, I kind of figured from the name. Thanks for swinging by, appreciate it. How's everything been going for you lately, man? Are you still working with the Cyanide Happiness crew? Recently back in LA? Dude, that's so awesome. I loved all your little, what was it, Inktober drawings. Those are so great. Just perma remote, nice. Yeah, a lot of places have been doing the permanent work from home, which, I mean, there's no reason not to. It's so much better. So yeah, there's my wireframe. That's what we're gonna go with for this first tree. Also, always look forward to your minis. Oh, awesome! Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I don't know if you saw we're in earlier, but we have one of my Terminators finally started painting them up. See, he's actually pretty much done. I just want to get to the base and wrap him up. But today was tree making day, so I gotta stay focused. I did him for a warm up, and now it's all about the trees. So yeah, here is the wireframe. And what's cool about these is in a lot of cases you can actually just get them to stand on their own, and they'll just kind of use their own pieces for the roots that you made. So once you have that done, it's time to start putting the foil on it. Grab yourself a nice sheet of foil, and what I always do is I take little bits of it and I start there. I'll sometimes fold it up on itself, and you just want to start bringing that foil around it. You don't really want to like tightly wrap it, because what'll happen is your foil won't latch onto anything and it'll just want to unravel on you. So what you want to do is you kind of want to loosely wrap it and then squish the foil all into the wireframe. And then because the foil is all kind of like balled up and tightened on itself, it holds better. And now that doesn't even want to unravel on me. And you're going to go through and keep doing that. You want to go with the roots, go with every part of it, and you just kind of want to totally cover it in foil and give it a good base. And what you're trying to stick to doing is making sure that the tree is thicker at the trunk and always moves thinner. So when you get to near the top, you want to make sure you're not like using too much foil and not making it super thick compared to the rest of the tree trunk or anything like that. sometimes it can be tricky going like around the roots and where the branch offshoots are, because it'll want to follow one thing and then not connect to the other. Just do your best to wrap it around, mash it together, and get it to kind of flow nicely. You're going to have spots that do want to unravel. The foil will never want to stick into one spot. But if you kind of do that method where you're kind of mashing it together, it will hold better than if you just kind of wrapped it. And I don't know if it matters if you use the glossier side of the tin foil or not. I've never noticed a difference. I just kind of keep wrapping it around and putting it together until it actually just kind of holds with what I'm trying to make it do. And when you're at the bottom of the roots, you can go over. Like, see how I'm a good ½ inch over where the end of the root was? And as you're wrapping that, you can just kind of take all that extra and really twist it up into even more of a spindly root. Or if you don't want to go that much farther, you can just break that end piece off. And now you just kind of have a nice little cap to the end of that foil. It tends to work better if you keep the pieces of foil kind of like thicker, so you have more foil to work with for one wrap, rather than trying to use a lot of small pieces. This is pretty much like the same method of what you would do if you were actually going to go through and sculpt it. You would want to make a wireframe. You would want to start, I don't know how this one's going to go. You'd want to start making a wireframe and using the foil to build up your understructure before you started using something like a polymer clay. But this is just my method of avoiding that, so you don't have to go through and actually sculpt. And it still makes a nice quick, well, not quick, but a nice looking tree without having to know how to sculpt or go through the process of sculpting it. And usually what I try to do is when I'm doing the branches, since I have all the little offshoot branches, I stick to just one branch at a time. So like the offshoot will get wrapped after I do this main branch. And what I want to do here, because it's not really that thick yet, is I want to get another piece here to wrap around and thicken up that part that connects to the trunk. So Liz, I haven't seen your name around on some of the channels. Do you do any type of artwork, any miniature work, anything like that? You're totally welcome to share any links to your work, anything like that. I am a total link friendly channel. So if you have anything you're working on, want to share it with the group, feel free to. And it's okay if parts of the wireframe you can see on this little branch here, it's still sticking through past the foil. It's okay to leave it like that. You don't have to totally cover it with the foil, because after the foil we're going to go through a layer of masking tape, and that will you can use that to help cover it more. And even if you don't totally cover it, the paint, like once you go through painting it and pasting it and painting it, it'll really give you a better look and hide that, and you'll never even notice that it was part of the wireframe sticking through. I'm just trying to thicken up some of the trunk right now. Probably could have done a little more wire around it to thicken it, but you can kind of see how it's already starting to take shape. Has the dimensions and thickness, and the foil is going to help you give the texture that you want to kind of simulate some of the bark. So here's a good example of a spot that I'm going to have to thicken up as well. You can see how right around here it's kind of thinner, and then it's getting thicker here because of how the wireframe was. You want to thicken that part up so that way it's going from thicker to thin as you get farther out on the tree. And a lot of it is just kind of getting the feel for it as you do it. The foil, it's guaranteed it's not going to cooperate with you at some point. So just kind of playing around with it and really messing with the foil to get it to do what you need it to. That just will come in time when you're working on these. You can probably see how some of this is actually popping up and causing like a little lip that I don't want, and it's just mashing more foil into there. Um, the tape's going to help close some of those off, so don't really worry about it if you have spots that don't look too good with the foil, because you have other layers that are going to help hold that down. The other cool part about this method is since you're not really layering on clay and sculpting them, it makes them really light. So your terrain bases are not like too heavy for throwing into a box and carrying around and taking to your games and stuff like that. Need just a little more foil, and then we're ready to move on to the next step with this one. Oh my god. Well, I got a lot of bit more foil. Because it just dumped out of the container. Alright, so for this one, we're probably going to call this good and move on to the next step. Because there are spots that want to start unraveling to me, so that's when the tape will start helping. So there's your first little wireframe. It's all covered in the foil, gives it the quick look that you need for the tree frame. Kind of clear that off your desk. I'm using, what is this, inch? 3/4 inch masking tape. But what I tend to do is I'll grab little couple inch strips of it and I'll actually rip those in half. Because that little rough natural edge will actually help you out a little bit more and making sure that you don't have like parts of the tape that really stand out and you can tell that it's like tape covering it. It'll give it a more natural look in certain spots. What you're going to start doing with this is I usually start on the trunk, and that helps tie in the pieces for the roots. And I just go from the bottom of the trunk and just upwards, following how the bark of the tree would actually be. And then just kind of press that down, and you can see it starts taking some of the shape of the foil underneath it. And you just keep going through the entire tree doing that. When you get to some of the branches and offshoots, you might have to get a little creative with how the tape falls, how the tape lies, and I'll show you some little tricks I do with that. Usually it'll be taking a bigger piece, laying it over the top like that, and wrapping that around and then connecting it up. But I always start with the trunk just to give me a base for everything to catch on to. And you can, because of the process that you have to go through to make these, you can let them sit like a while after you make them. Like maybe one day you're gonna apply do 30 trees, and you're gonna sit there do all the wireframes. Then the next day you're gonna put on the foil. Then the next day you'll do the tape. One thing I would recommend if you do that is plan to do the pasting relatively quickly after you put the tape down. What'll start happening if you let them sit too long is the tape's going to want to let go from itself, and you'll go back to do them and you'll have some spots where the tape's wanting to split, and that can be a pain in the ass when you're trying to actually get the paste on there, because now it's like peeling backwards on the tape and the paste isn't really holding. So here you can see I'm starting a little low on the trunk, And I'm just bringing this around and wrapping it around the root there. And I'm going to do the same the other way and wrap it around. And you're just kind of pressing in as you lay the tape, so that way you grab the that shape that you made with the foil. And if there's ever spots that like get created that cause like weird ridges or things like that, you usually don't have to worry about them too much. But if it's really bugging you and you don't like the look of it, you just take another piece of tape and lay over it and cover it. T-Virus Tragedy, thank you for the follow. Thanks for swinging by the channel. Appreciate it. We are making little no sculpt wireframe trees for terrain building. I use these a lot when I build like Warhammer terrain, 40k terrain, that type of stuff for people. Appreciate the follow. It means a lot. And swinging by the channel. Are you a miniature artist? Do you do any type of artwork or anything? If you do, feel free to post it in the chat and let everybody hanging out see it. I am link friendly. If you want to share anything you're working on, anything like that, feel free to post it in the comments and let everybody take a look at it. So this one, because of how the tape fell, there's like this, let's see if you guys can see it. Come on, focus. There, you can see how the tape, one piece is going like that way, the other piece is coming around this way, and it's kind of creating a weird shape right there. That's usually where I would want to take another small piece of tape and just kind of wrap it around that to help hide that section. Because sometimes while you don't think of putting a bunch of paste over there is gonna like make it show up, even through the paste it will kind of show up and you'll see it and it'll kind of create a little weird spot. But thankfully, in a lot of cases, I just use little mosses and grasses to hide any weirdness that happens with these. And that's another little trick you can do for not really having to really worry about how it looks in the end. Because any little inconsistencies or things like that, you can usually hide with some sort of effect. Oh, hey there. Hey, Lord Monkey Man. How goes it today? Thanks for swinging by. Making little miniature trees. Yep. This is my method for, I would say quick trees, but the process actually does take a little while. So it's my method for easy, no sculpting trees. You can make trees without having to know how to sculpt and make bark texture or anything like that. And actually, once you get the hang of it, it is relatively quick. Especially if you're doing a lot of them, because you can kind of do them in a production line process. Like sit down one day, make a whole bunch of the wireframes. Sit down the next day, get all the foil done. Stuff like that. But you can kind of just see how it's building up, taking shape, and getting you the look of what the tree should be. Probably could have gone a little thicker on the trunk down here because it does thicken up right there. Which you could always put another piece of foil around it and then go from there, thicken it up, put the tape back over that. This one I'm not really going to worry about that too much because I'd actually just like to get through the process to show you guys. And like one of the big things, let's see, will you end up streaming? Yeah, so Twitch drops all the videos in the channel, but I'm told that those videos only stay for like 14 days. So what I did is I created a YouTube channel and I will be saving out all my Twitch videos and uploading them to the YouTube channel. I'm probably going to make it a once a week thing because that way I don't forget about it. Like maybe every Friday I'll jump on, download all my videos and upload them to YouTube. That way if anybody does want to go back and check them out, they're available and they don't have to worry about them falling off of Twitch and being unavailable again. Oh, sorry, getting off camera here. Yeah, totally, dude. Let anybody know if there's anything they want to learn. They can come check out my channel. Even send them my way if they just have questions. Like I'm totally open for that. Do you use Streamlabs? Yeah, I use Streamlabs OBS. It was what was recommended to me, and I see why it was recommended. It's very easy to use, and most of what I needed to learn for it, I kind of learned just from clicking around, like getting the base idea from a video and then clicking around and messing around with it until I figured it out. The only thing I didn't like was, for whatever reason, my alerts weren't working properly on day one. So that was the day I pulled in the most follows, and unfortunately, nobody got the alert for following. So there was a whole bunch of followers I had that I didn't even notice until like a couple hours since they followed. And that's when I started paying more attention to my mini feed. So that way, if I had follows, I wasn't missing them. But thankfully today it looks like my alerts are working. Okay, if you pay for the Prime, you can multi-stream to different platforms at the same time. That's what I do. I'm pretty sure the streaming to YouTube would be a recording, make it easier. Yeah, the only thing with that is once I hit affiliate, I won't be able to do that. Because my understanding with affiliate and partner on Twitch is you are kind of locked into their platform, from what I'm told. So you wouldn't actually be able to multi-stream on other platforms. Yeah, so I'm kind of just sticking to Twitch. It's an easy platform. I know a lot of people on there. I've already kind of really jumped in on the community on here. So I'm just sticking to the one platform, making it easy on myself because I'm not really doing the streaming as like my main focus. It's just kind of supplemented with the work that I'm doing. Um, so therefore, like trying to stream onto multiple platforms and really pay attention to all different platforms is a little too much for my workload right now. So I'm sticking to the one that I've kind of jumped in already, sticking to the community that I've already jumped in with, and going from there. So I'm almost ready to start putting the paste on this one. Just got a few more branches to finish up here. And what I'll do is I'll jump on another tree when when I put the paste on this one, because it'll take a while for it to dry. And usually what I do is I do one layer of the Mod Podge over the tape, and then I'll do about 2 layers of the flex paste over that once that dries. So it'll take across a couple days to really finish these. But the nice thing is when you get to the paste, it's real quick. You just take a crappy brush, big thicker brush, and just slap it all over the thing and get it all done. Make sure you have some like cardboard or something to lay it down on. One nice thing is because of all the branches, you can kind of lay it down like this, and this only has 1, 2, 3 points touching the the table. So when I put that on cardboard, I'll just like hold it from one branch like this, really get the paste all over it, and then just kind of lay it down and let it balance and dry. The other cool thing that I really like about this method of trees is you don't have to really plan where they're going to go in a scenic element, because the wireframe and the paste that you use leave them to be kind of flexible. Like I'll be able to go back through, and if it's on a real flat surface, I can kind of just push this down and it'll bend the roots and make sure it's real nice and flat. If there's a rock or something we're going over, we can just kind of slowly bend these and form it around the rock, so that way you can really set it into a scene, whatever scene that may be, and not have to worry about planning for that ahead of time. You can just make a whole bunch of these trees and then just grab them as you have them done and fit them into whatever you want them to. Dude, I was looking at your work on Instagram. It's amazing. Oh, thanks, TG Carlo. Really appreciate that. I actually got to get some new posts up in the Instagram and share some more of my old work and some other stuff. I've been so focused on getting the stream running this week, I kind of fell behind on updating my Instagram with newer stuff, or new and older stuff. But I will get back on that. I appreciate the kind words on my artwork. That means a lot. Especially to somebody like me who can easily fall into what they call imposter syndrome with your artwork, where no matter like how good it actually is, you kind of look at your own work and think like, oh, I'm not that good compared to these other people I see, which I know I shouldn't ever compare my artwork to other people's artwork, but it's just natural that we do that. So hearing stuff like that really helps me out with getting over that and and actually believing in my artwork. So appreciate that. All right, so there we go. There is one taped up wireframe for the tree. So now what we're going to do is grab our Mod Podge. Yo, Erkdad, glad to see the stream up and running. Thank you, Tumble Wumper. Always love the name. It's hilarious. It has been a blast running the stream so far. Let me put this foil away. Hang on. I'm going to mute this so you guys don't have to hear this. Alright, good. Now that's out of the way. So yeah, I just have crappy cardboard sheets that I use for spray painting on, anything like that. Artie's there running some errands with the wife. Just wanted to pop by and say hello. Oh, thanks, Artie. Always appreciate you coming by here, my dude. Watching you play Warzone last night was freaking awesome. Your friend with those sticks, that was freaking hilarious. Let's see, TG Carlo, for real, man. I was looking at the slide, and even that looks good. Thanks, dude. Really appreciate that. Yeah, I kind of made sure I pick work of mine that was better than the rest, but yeah, I'm really happy with how that slideshow turned out. One of my friends who does digital painting kind of has something similar running on his stream. Actually, I'm just gonna send you guys over to him. 1 second. If you're into any type of digital painting, you can check out my buddy Chad. He does some absolutely fantastic work. He was the one, here is his Twitch handle. He was the one who kind of pressured me into putting up a slideshow. And actually, if I go to like my Be Right Back page, there's another slideshow. This one has a few different images in it, just because it was a horizontal frame, not a vertical frame. And yeah, he was the one who kind of told me, put up a slideshow. That way, it gives your viewers something else to look at. If you're kind of doing something that's a little more monotonous and kind of boring to watch or getting a little boring, you can put that up, and that way your viewers can hang out and still see some other artwork from you while you're doing something that's a little bit more boring. And I thought that was a really good idea, so I went with it. Alright, so now let me go grab a brush real quick. And you want to make sure you're using a brush you don't really care about. I use these cheapo 70-something cent 1-inch brushes from dollar store, Meyer hardware store, wherever you want to get them. Have a little bit of paper towel around so that way you don't really make a mess. And you have something you can wipe off too much excess paste on. Ooh, haven't used this stuff in a bit. And what I'll usually do is I'll grab the tree from like the tip of one of the branches, something I don't really have to worry about if it gets pasted up last, and just take a decent bit of the paste and start going over the whole thing. Careful, because if you go too fast, it is going to splatter everywhere and start causing a little bit of a mess. So if you have anything like these awesome models directly next to me that I probably don't want to get this stuff on, you should probably move those first, but I'm already in the thick of it, so I'm not going to move them and just try my best to not splatter on them. Crafting like this is tedious. Oh yeah. But I definitely like the tedious aspect of it. You can sit there just kind of zoning out. It's meditative. Your mind can wander. You can think about other stuff. You don't really have to sit here really focused on what you're doing, because in a lot of cases what you're doing is just muscle memory. So what this is going to do is with the Mod Podge, it's going to help seal all that tape so that way it doesn't start unraveling on you. And I make sure if there's like spots where I see a lot of the tape connections, I just make sure to really cover those spots and get the Mod Podge all nice and thick over those spots. Really doesn't matter too much. how much you put on because you're doing like 3 layers of this stuff. 1 layer of the Mod Podge, 2 layers with the flex paste. And what I try to do is I try to brush it on the way the tree flows. So that way your brush strokes, if they stay into the paste, it helps make that bark look. And you're just trying to get to where pretty much all of the tape in spots has some sort of bit of the paste covering it. Doesn't have to be perfect, again, because you're doing multiple layers. And then just get where you're holding that, drop it, let it fall all over everything, and then there you go, one pasted tree. If you see it pooling up in certain spots, just kind of brush those out. You kind of want to avoid too much of the like thick blobs of it, and just having it have a good, if it'll catch it, come on, and just have a good coverage. Oh, wow, that immediately lost focus. Amazing. And then just have a good coverage over the whole tree, and then that one's ready to go. You can just set it down, let it dry. Again, you have the branches, so there's really only 3 spots that are touching on the cardboard. What's going to happen there is those will probably stick to the cardboard, so when I go to get this tomorrow, it'll be sticking, but you just pop it off and go on with the next paste. So then after that one's dry, you would grab your Woodland Scenics Flex paste and do a coat over it once it's dry. And then when this stuff dries, you do another coat over it. And then you should be done on the trees. I'm going to go ahead and start on another one, get some more wireframe going, so that way anybody who filtered in a little later can kind of see the beginning process again. So let me put this off to the side. And we will begin another one. And what's cool too is you can do these at whatever size you really want. And that's what really brings them to life when you're making terrain bases, is you'll have some like super tall trees, a couple smaller trees. Just really mix it up, and it brings your forest pieces and your woodland pieces really to life. Because when you go out in the woods, not every tree is the same height. And that was always one of my gripes with like 3D printed sets or things like that. I like watching this stuff because it reminds me of D&D stage building. Oh yeah, totally. You could use these for D&D terrain. You could use them. My last bit that I did 13 trees that all went on various terrain bases for a Warhammer Age of Sigmar terrain piece. I did 18 different bases and the boards for the table. And I believe that was one of my posts on my Instagram. And the other cool thing with it too is since it's just wire that you're wrapping around, you can really make these trees as gnarly as you want them to be. You can just really twist them up, get really good like bends into the the trunk there, so that way it's like kind of twisting around and doing really whatever you want it to. I always do like the 3D printed stuff and all of that. mainly for the ease of being able to like get something painted and put on the table. But sometimes to me, like the different sets of the 3D printed stuff you get, everything's too similar to itself. So like one set of trees will give you like, you know, 5 different trees, but they all look way too similar. And that kind of loses the bit of realism for me. Oh, wrapping this one the wrong way. It's more important with the bigger pieces, the 1/8 wire, that you actually keep wrapping those the same way. The smaller wire is fine if you end up wrapping it the opposite direction around the tree, but with the thicker one, if you end up wrapping the opposite direction of the other two for the third piece, it really stands out, and you can tell that there's like wire underneath your tape and foil. This one I think I'm gonna do 4 since I made it so freaking tall. And we're giving really big root pieces for this guy. Yeah, TG, the first couple streams that I've done so far, I've done more painting. This is the first one where I'm actually showing some of my scratch build stuff. But this is where I kind of want to end up with more of the stream in the future, is showing how I do a lot of the scratch build rather than just my painting. I feel that's going to help stand my channel out a little bit from some of the other painters that I follow, as well as give something new for a lot of the Twitch community. The only thing with it right now is my whole studio space right now is still in like a temporary setup. We're going through some home repairs and some stuff there, so once I get that all taken care of, I'll have more space to actually work on the larger structural type stuff that I build. And when you're cutting the aluminum wire, make sure you have a nice pair of like um, hardware store type wire cutters. Don't use your nice side cutters for plastic sprue and that stuff. You will destroy them very quickly. I thought I could get away with doing that one time with some of the wire, and then I looked at my side cutters because they weren't cutting sprues too well, and there was just all kinds of like bumps and chips into the blades because of what I had done to them. So don't do that. So yeah, this is going to be a bigger tree. You can see on the little frame. Actually, here, let me get you a bigger shot. How tall this one's going to be. Alright, so now I can move on to the little wire. So are you doing this as a commission? This one, no. This is just I wanted some content for today's stream. Excuse me. That was different than just sitting there painting the miniatures. So I had somebody that had seen that table that I built, and they were very interested in how I did the trees because they really liked them. So I figured what better way to start one of my own techniques with showing how I do the trees. Most of my commission stuff right now is all painting commissions. So some of it, since it's all bigger terrain stuff, it's kind of boring to watch because I'm just sitting there doing the exact same color over and over and over again. So I'm kind of keeping some of that stuff off stream for now. I don't really have any terrain commissions at the moment, so I'm just kind of doing this as check it out. This is how I do stuff. And it'll give me some trees just to have sitting around in my stock in case I ever do build something soon. We'll go, we'll go here with this one. I like making them so that way they can stand, so I don't have to sit there and worry about them falling over if I just set them down like this while I open another pack of wire. Ah, really? How did that catch? To the giant sequoia tree would be. Oh yeah, I've done. If you look at that terrain that well, it wasn't really a big like sequoia tree or anything. It was just the largest tree that I did for the terrain. If you look at that Instagram post of um, that terrain I built, I did this one huge tree for the temple. And when I did the roots, I really bent the tree up because I was planning on sticking it on like a rock or something like that to have it growing out of the rock rather than just the ground. And when I started the temple, I didn't even plan for it, to plan for like where it was gonna go. I had one of my wall pieces, and I just wanted to see it real quick, so I like held it up to the wall piece, and like the roots just hugged it perfectly. It was like exactly how it needed to fit. All I had to do was bend one of the roots one other way to get it out of the way for one of the walls I was about to put in. And like I was so excited, I was like, oh my god, it was like it was made for it. But yeah, sequoia tree would be amazing. I don't really know if any of these are actually designed around a certain type of tree. I just kind of started making these without really using any type of reference. But I would also like to do a willow tree sometime. I have a few ideas. I did one in the past with somebody, but we ended up going a little too heavy with the material that was for like the hanging down leaves part, and it kind of just didn't look all that good. Otherwise, I would have posted a picture of it. Um, it managed to do what we needed it to, but it was a little bit. We went a little too heavy with how those leaves looked. But in the future, I think I would do it a little differently, a little I don't know, a little less with the tree branches, and go from there. Oh, there I go off camera again. And as for the flocking that goes on the trees, There's a couple different materials I use. Um, which one? It's this one, and oh, I don't have the. This stuff was, I don't have the packaging for it, but this stuff was like Woodland Scenics. It's called like fine leaf foliage. It was one of their more expensive foliage types. But it's really cool because it has like bits of the different sticks and branches in there. So like when you get done with the tree, you can glue this on, and then it makes even more of the little tree branches. I found it to be a little bit tricky to use, and a lot of it wanted to like break apart as I was sticking it on there. Then the other stuff that I used before, I used these on some 3D printed trees I just did not too long ago. And this stuff's really cool because it's real nice thick clusters that you have to pull apart. It doesn't look as real as the other stuff once it's together, um, but it has a really good like connection point with the trees. Like you can take this and just kind of like stick it on in the top with some tacky glue, and with the tacky glue and a little bit of like sealer over it, this stuff worked really well. The foliage clusters from Woodland Scenics. I really like their foliage products. That's something I gotta redeem myself on. Have a then and now pics. Yeah, that would be really cool. It was for the branches hanging down. We ended up using it was like some fly fishing material or something like that. I used to do a lot of that with my dad when I was younger, and it just kind of hit me. I'm like, oh yeah, there's got to be some sort of fly fishing or fly tying material that they make that would kind of work. It was a little sparkly, so we had to kind of figure out ways to dull that back, but it worked out pretty well. It's just we just put too big of clusters on rather than having like small little bits of clusters to get that more natural look to it. So yeah, one day I will redeem myself and make a big willow tree. But I'm getting really anxious to start doing my own terrain for my Warhammer army, having a home terrain board, because I've never really had my own like fully fleshed out terrain. Despite doing all this stuff, I've never actually built myself really nice terrain. And my friend had me do that Age of Sigmar terrain, and we ended up getting together when he picked it up and played a game on it. And it was something that was like, oh man, now I need to build myself my own table. And with the whole like Egyptian theme that this army has, I really want to do like some giant pyramids and stuff, like really big, and just have a really cool like deserty style red rock base that I do for these guys. If it'll show, kind of like that red rock earth, but with pyramids and stuff all around. So at some point, I think we'll be doing some of that on stream. Uh-oh. Kitty cat rolling around over here. Come here, Frankie. Come here. You want to say hi? Come here. Nope. The moment I roll my chair back, he runs. So there we go. We got the wireframe for this guy pretty much ready. Might do a little more at the base just to thicken that up. Yeah, I'm actually going to do that. I hear him getting into something. I don't know what he's getting into. Yeah, that looks better. Go with that for the wireframe. Got a bunch of little offshoot branches. Time to start putting more foil on. Actually, TG Carlo, one thing I wanted to do, I want to build a like a really high-end marshland table. Have like a big, huge tree in the middle, and maybe have like huts and stuff built into the tree, and just really go all out on it. But I have to have a good reason as to why to build something like that. Otherwise, I'm not going to go through all the material and time building it. I used to have an orc army, and I was going to theme it for that, but I ended up selling the orc army. I just took a good look at it and said, I am never going to get to building and painting all of this, let alone anytime I play my Thousand Suns, and I had 4 armies laying around, and it was just like, there's too much. Too many boxes of miniatures. And hang on one second, everybody. I will be right back. I keep hearing my cat getting into something, and I do not know what it is. I will be just a couple minutes while I figure out what he is doing. Alright, I am back. I don't really know what the cat was getting into. It didn't look like he was getting into anything, but he's definitely acting guilty about something. I tried to bring him down here, but he was getting all mad at me if I tried to pick him up. So, he can stay upstairs. I gotta move these. Okay. And if anyone's got any like questions as I'm working on this, feel free to just post them in the chat. I will answer them as I'm working. If there's something that I'm doing that you didn't catch earlier, just let me know and I can go over it again. Hear my cat again. Don't know what he's getting into. So what's everybody got going on today? Anybody doing anything fun on this Saturday? Everybody having fun right now and just lurking? Oh God, I hear my cat again. What is he getting into? He's getting into something and I have no clue what it is. One thing you got to be careful with when working with these trees is while you're sitting here doing the foil over the branches, that you don't accidentally get yourself with any of the wires. Um, there's been a couple times I've been working on these, and all of a sudden it's like catching my hair or something like that, almost poking my eyeball out because I'm not paying attention to where the other branches are at as I'm sitting here putting foil over it all. So that's one thing you got to watch out for. What are you working on? I am doing some of my wireframe trees. Nothing in particular. They're not for anything right now. Just for day 3 on the stream, I wanted to really show something beyond just my painting. So I decided I would show my process for how I do my wireframe trees, my no sculpt trees, pretty much the ones I was doing at your place that one time for the terrain. I had another streamer check out the terrain that I had built, and she really liked the trees, so I figured this would be a good thing to show, especially while I don't really have the space or my setup to really do anything like huge with the scratch building. I figured it was a good spot to really start and kind of show a process of something. But I think after this one, I'm going to go back to a little bit of painting today. Sean, you weren't here when I started working on this guy, one of my Terminators for my Thousand Suns. Get him a little closer. So I'm pretty much just down to the base left on him. And that'll be what I think I show next. After I get done with this tree and get the first layer of paste on it, I'm going to go ahead and show how I do my basing and what products I use for that on my 40K army. Just kind of been doing mostly personal stuff on stream just to get the feel for streaming, talking to a crowd while I work. I did do a little bit on one of the 3D print guy, one of the dungeon artifacts pieces, day 1, but it was literally just watching me paint the brown base tones for like the entire stream, plus a couple washes, and I felt that was getting boring after a while, so I moved over to my 40K stuff. And then yesterday we also did some speed paints. I did this little rat assassin guy. Let me see if I can get him on camera. There he is. Did this little guy. About 30-minute speed paint. We did another about 30 minutes for Action Jackson. Painted up in a color scheme like Power Man. And then we also did this ogre guy. This one was kind of fun because I told everybody, I had everybody that was active in chat pick a color. and that was kind of the only colors I could work with, plus white and black. So he was pretty fun. This one took me a little past the half-hour point, because I did a couple things in a wrong order, so I had to wait for some stuff to dry that I shouldn't have put on there yet. Um, but yeah, it was a lot of fun yesterday, just kind of working and painting and working and chatting. It's been a lot of fun so far doing this. Day one was a blast. One of the streamers I follow had jumped off for a little bit to do his rounds. He goes around to a bunch of the other streamers and makes sure he pops in to support everybody here and there. So he popped in on my channel a little bit because he knew I was starting, and then he jumped over to another guy's channel and hadn't checked up on the. Oh wait, let's see. I'm gonna head out. I'll probably catch you again before the weekend. Take it easy. Yeah, no worries, Nigel. Thanks for popping in and hanging out for as long as you did. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you next weekend for hitting the range. It's been too long. But yeah, Sean, going back to what I was saying, hey, new meta design. Look who finally shows up. He pops into the channel, finally. Day 3. This is the guy that really started pushing me to get going on my channel. I get started, and he doesn't even show up. But he's here now. So everybody, welcome New Meta Design. Another fantastic Michigan mini painter. Because my shoutouts are all messed up right now, I will go ahead and link your page in a second. Yeah, I haven't actually, bro. So, but dude, I'm just messing with you. You know, it's totally cool. You get here when you get here. It's no big deal. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you kicking my ass to get going on the stream. For those of you who want more miniature painting stuff, go check out New Meta Design. He does some fantastic work. I know him personally. He used to work with my dad, and every now and then we actually get together, play some Warhammer, and do all that. So, real cool guy, real good work. Go check him out. Oh, I know. Yeah, you better know. Everybody's busy right now. I get it. I get it. I don't hold anything personal over anybody if they can't make it, can't support, or anything like that. It's cool. I've been terrible about making sure I get to people's pages and hang out. There's been so many streamers that I've found out about through some of the other streamers, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll make it over and check out your page, and then it's like 3 weeks later, I'm like, oh shit, I never got over to that person's page. It happens. But yeah, Sean, what I was saying for day one is one of the streamers I know, he made his rounds, went over to somebody else's channel, and when he was checking out their channel, seeing what updates on the channel points and everything they had, he said one of the updates was guide the stream or guide the raid. And so he ended up redeeming his points for that, knowing that I had just started for the first time. And next thing I know, I'm getting raided with a party of 27 followers or 27 viewers. I was just like, wait, what? Day one, and I already have a raid coming in with that many people? It was pretty cool. It was a lot of fun. Had a blast with it. A bunch of people followed from it. A bunch of people kind of stuck around and chatted for a while. Came back the next day. It was really cool. Been having a real blast with doing this. this new meta, these are my methods for making trees that don't involve sculpting. You do wireframe using 16th inch wire along with 1/8 inch wire, aluminum wire like armature wire for sculpting. Pretty much the same process you would put down a wireframe for a sculpt. Just instead of actually sculpting over it, over the foil, you end up putting masking tape, and then after you get all the masking tape down, you do one layer of Mod Podge to seal it. After that dries, you do 2 layers of flex paste over that, and it makes a very decent looking tree without having to actually know how to sculpt or go through the process of sculpting. Can be a little bit time consuming and a little bit of a hassle on some spots, like with the tape and getting around branches and everything, but they're easy to do. You don't really have to think about it much while you're working on them, and it just makes for a really nice piece that you can have on a terrain piece. I gotta run to the store, hardware store. I'm facelifting the bathroom and need some wall patch. Oh man, sounds like you got a project on your hands. Awesome, dude. Well, appreciate you popping by. Finally. And I appreciate you getting on my case about getting a stream up and running. I have been having a blast doing this the last 3 days. It's a nice incentive to keep working while I actually have people hanging out with me, even though it's digital and I'm the only one who's actually talking and heard. It's nice having the chat going, paying attention, getting questions from people, and meeting new people too. So I have been having an absolute blast doing this. So thank you for finally getting me going on that. You and a couple other people were really on my case about it, so I'm like, alright, I can't let you guys down. Oh, and thank you for the follow. I don't know why my notification didn't pop up for you. It worked for the other 3 people that followed today. Huh. Streamlabs has been really weird about my alerts lately. I had a donation come in on day 1 that didn't play my alert, but I think I saw what happened there because it played one of the basic ones. And when I checked it later, I had under the alert settings, I had like the basic one still showing as a variation for the alert. So I think if you have that, I think it ends up like playing one or the other. So it ended up just doing the real quick basic animation and didn't actually show the one that I had set up. But I'm getting that all figured out. The big thing I gotta do next is I gotta link up the chat bot, get that going, and get the commands all figured out so I can start getting custom commands on the channel and actually have real shoutouts instead of me having to go over to the Twitch page and grab people's pages and link it. We'll get there, one step at a time. Man, these root pieces are really fighting me on this one. That's the other thing too with these trees. The bigger you make the tree, the more it takes to do the process of the foil and the tape and everything. But I mean, compared to a miniature, you get some really cool looking sizes. So it's like more lifelike looking trees rather than having something that you allowed to play tunes while on stream. That's where it gets a little difficult, Sean. Um, I would like to, but anything that you don't have royalty, like anything that would be royalties or anything like that, um, they have bots that will go through and it'll catch it. And what'll happen is in my videos afterwards, I will have a lot of spots where the audio's shut down because the bots had caught non-licensed material being played. I was actually a little iffy with my alerts for that reason as well, because all of my alerts here, I'll do some tests on them. Like my follows, they're all scenes from Lord of the Rings, so I was a little bit worried about that. But so many streamers do all their alerts from different like scenes of movies or games or things like that. That one I went with. Um, you, I have seen people playing just music, unlicensed music and stuff on their streams, but usually what'll happen is their videos after the fact get muted in spots. And I kind of want to have my videos up since I'm doing a lot of stuff that is informative, where I'm talking about it and things like that. So I actually have music going right now. I'm jamming out too, but unfortunately I can't have you guys hear it. There are some royalty-free channels I could probably put on and have going, which I'll probably end up playing with if people want more music going. But unfortunately, right now I don't have those up and running, and I've been kind of partial to the music I know, so I have that going in my ear. But something for the background would be kind of nice. I did hear of another streamer reaching out to a lot of the smaller record companies and chatting with them and actually getting the rights to play some of the music that they put out. So he actually has like um, known bands and things like that playing on his stream, and I thought that was a pretty cool idea. But I'll get something figured out eventually. I know a lot of guys just do the royalty-free stuff. I really wanted to get around that by having there used to be a program called or a online website called turntable.fm, and it was so cool because it was like online music rooms, like online jukeboxes. And what would happen is everybody would load into the room, and you could load up songs. Like you could search different songs that they had available and put them into the list, and it would be like a jukebox, like if we were all at a bar or something. And that was really cool. I wanted to see about having something like that, so that way while I was on stream, we could get past having the audio muted by just everyone jump into this turntable channel and listen to it on your end, and that way everybody gets to participate in with the music. I don't get my audio muted because of playing the music, since everybody would be listening to it on their own end. And then I looked up the channel again and found out that they are no longer around. So that was a big bummer. Because that was something I thought would be kind of fun and That way everybody can like request music, add music, and do things like that. But no such luck. So for now, it's just me you get to listen to. And if you don't like that, well, sorry, don't know what to tell you. No. Gonna have to start singing. Funny you mention that. Um, I'm debating once I'm affiliate and I have channel points. I'm debating a redemption for some of my karaoke jams. Erkbard, yes. Listen to the sound of my sweet, sweet voice. Sing some sweet, sweet melodies. Totally out of tune and horrible, but you know, my creative endeavors do not involve music. I build with my hands, not with my voice. But yeah, I'm totally thinking about having that as a channel point reduction. It'd be something ridiculously high, so that way, you know, I don't have to do it all that often, but still something somebody could redeem for. I think it would be kind of fun. But I am really looking forward to when I have channel points. I got a lot of stuff thought up for it that I want to have for redemptions. Stuff to make it more interesting, more involvement with the chat, um, stuff like that. I'm also debating about hooking up the Stream Raiders game. I participate in that on a couple people's channels, and that's always kind of fun. So what have you been up to lately, Sean? I feel like it's been a bit again since I chatted with you. We gotta get together soon. Oh, and another thing, if you have that file you need printed, I think Brandon and I are getting together tomorrow. There's some stuff I gotta take care of tonight and get some models prepped. There's this really cool Patreon with this awesome demon set that has some models I want for demon princes. So I'm gonna get those together. I also have um, that Santa wizard model from that one sculptor I follow on Instagram that I want to print. So Brandon and I are probably going to be hanging out tomorrow. So if you got that file you want printed, I can slap that on one of the print beds for you. Man, one other cool thing about streaming is you really get lost in the work when you're doing it. It's already 3:36. I started at 1. It doesn't even feel like it's been that long that I've already been on camera. I like it. My camera keeps focusing on the weirdest spots. Been good, been pretty busy, cleaning the house while watching you. Talk for real late. Oh yeah, definitely, dude. No worries. Yeah, not a big fan of how that piece fell on that. But that's why there's more tape. Yeah, I'm gonna get my schedule figured out tonight for the days I'm going to be streaming. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays throughout the week that I'm consistently on. And I will have a schedule written up on the Twitch channel page for that. I'll probably have that by tomorrow. That's going to be something I work on, think about tonight, and get all typed up and ready for tomorrow. Um, but then, of course, there's going to be other days I stream just out of on a whim. I'll just be sitting here working and be like, you know what, let's go live. So there will be other times people can catch me. And what I'm going to do is there's going to be each day it's going to be consistent. So every Monday will be the same time slot, every Wednesday will be the same time slot, and so on. But the time slots will probably be different each day. So that way, there's more potential for people to catch me if my usual time for one day doesn't match up with their schedules. Bonus stream. Oh yeah. Gotta do bonus streams. What better than just browsing on Twitch and suddenly, oh man, he's on and it's not on his scheduled days. Come hang out and say hi. Alright, after I get the tape done on this one, I'm going to have to take a couple-minute break, refresh my tea, and get ready, and make sure the cats aren't doing anything they're not supposed to be doing. And I just need a moment to get up and stretch a bit. The cats are plotting. Oh, dude, totally. And I'm watching them this weekend. My dad's up. My mom and dad are up north. My dad's ice fishing. So, of course the cats are plotting. They know they can get away with more. It was a real funny day one on stream. We haven't been letting the cats downstairs because I don't have the room finished here yet, and I have tons of my miniatures and supplies out, so I don't want them down here unsupervised. But since I moved the computer down here and I am actually able to watch them a little bit more, I figured, okay, well, they can come down. That way, if Frankie wants to jump up on camera, he can. Well, I blocked off access to the back of my desk so that way he can't get to the cords for the computer. It's like an hour into streaming. All of a sudden, he pops up right from behind the desk. And I'm like, how the hell did you get back there? He's always plotting. Pixie only plots about food. That's it. Alright. That one is all ready to go. We'll get a layer of paste on it when I get back. I'm going to take a quick couple-minute break to refresh my tea, take a stretch, go check up on the kitty cats, and I shall return. Be back in a couple. Alright, I'm back. Cats are definitely plotting. They were just kind of sitting there, just not really doing much. Definitely plotting. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and get the paste on this second tree. First one's drying up nicely. And then once this is done, I'm gonna go ahead and go back to the basing on my Thousand Suns Terminator. I think next week too I'm gonna do a long stream. I got a lot of work I gotta catch up on, so I'm thinking maybe we'll just do a long hangout while I do all that, and maybe have one that kind of goes to some of the late hours of the night. There is a hair. Looks like a cat hair. God dang it. I am making a mess. And there's another cat hair. one can be set aside, and that can dry for later. Sometime next week I'll do a stream where I show how I go about painting them. Just real simple, lots of dry brushing, stuff like that. But yeah, for now we're gonna move over to doing the base on this Thousand Suns Terminator. I'm gonna go wash out this brush really quick. Get that done so it doesn't harden up on me. I'll be right back one more time. Well, they are just cheap brushes that I'm using for the pastes. I don't want I don't want them getting all hardened up where I'm having to buy them constantly. So as long as I keep them washed, that usually helps keep them in good condition. At least good enough for what I do. For that piece printing, I ended up scrapping his outfit to rework it since I didn't like how it was turning out. Once it's done, I'll commission you so you can have something to paint on. Oh, sweet. Yeah, we can definitely do that. Yeah, just let me know. So I guess not printing it Sunday, that's fine. I can definitely work with that whenever. You just let me know. Alright, so moving on to this guy again, doing the base. I am going to be using Vallejo's Earth Texture. It's like by far one of my favorite products by Vallejo. I actually like a lot of their painting products. This stuff just really does a good job at getting a nice, quick, easy base texture. What you're going to want to use is some crappy brush that you don't really care about, because this stuff will really mess up the bristles. And you're just going to kind of glob this around onto the base. I've already, earlier today, put some rocks on the bases. That's just limestone. We had redone our driveway up north with new limestone, and when they brought in the pile of stones, I ended up grabbing a bucket full so that way I could have some. But yeah, you're just going to be taking some old crappy brush, not that great on bristles, and using that to just grab some of this stuff and slap it around onto the base. I like doing this with the miniature on the base. You have to be very careful you don't like get too much on the miniature itself. But I like doing it once the miniature is actually based because you can kind of push this up around his feet and it makes it look more like he's actually squishing down into the earth and not just placed on top of the base. Sometimes if you do this step first, make your base and then put the miniature on, while it's a lot easier to paint the base, sometimes it makes the miniature look like it's placed on top and not actually a part of his environment. I'm actually going to try to see if I can drop the camera a little bit. We'll see what that does. Give you guys a little bit closer of a look as I do this. And usually when you're doing this step, a lot of it's going to want to cake on the edges as you're using the brush. I just go back in and literally just wipe it off with my finger. And I'm not ever too worried if I get a little bit on like the model's cloak or something like that, because that just helps add to the look of him getting dirty from the environment and dust and dirt kicking up everywhere. It does get painted after it dries. This stuff does take a little bit to dry if you cake it on kind of thick. But with a thin layer like this, it shouldn't take too long to dry. Got about an hour left on stream. We might be able to get to the painting on this guy tonight. Once this dries, it might be cutting it close. But yeah, I just caked some of that on there. So it gets, if you guys can see it, it gets kind of like a little bit of an earth texture going. It's just textured paint. That's all this stuff is. It probably has some sort of sand or grit mixed in with it. And when you just kind of glob it on, it makes for a nice earth texture. The more you kind of pile on, the more like patterns and like all kinds of like different ripples you'll have in the dirt, so it looks like it's all manipulated from walking on and the battle going on around this guy. Actually, while that dries, I am going to grab another one of my Terminators to start on. Might as well keep working on these guys. Actually, yeah, we'll work on one of those. Since that's what I have going on right now. Ooh, I did not wash that brush out good yesterday. If there are other painters watching, this stuff, the Masters Brush Cleaner and Preserver, is amazing for keeping your brushes kind of clean and preserved, so that way you can get lots of uses out of them, even if you're like me and pretty hard on your brushes. So you just kind of get your brushes a little bit damp, brush it all into the soap. You can even kind of, if you don't mind getting it on your fingers, kind of like massage the bristles a bit. Hit them in the water again, and it just kind of helps take a lot of the paint out of the brush. What's the lore behind these guys? Not too close with the lore surrounding the Scarab Occult, but in general, the Thousand Sons are an army that used to be loyal to the Emperor, and through a series of unfortunate events, really, fell to the Chaos Lord of Tzeentch. Um, the soldiers themselves are actually just piles of dust inside their armor because of a massive spell that kind of went wrong. And anyone who wasn't like the sorcerers of the group, like the actual magic wielders, kind of just got turned to dust and trapped inside their armor with magic ability. So they're kind of like automatons at this point, except for the squad leaders who are still dudes in their armor. They're my elite choices for my army. Real good ranged, medium range gun line. They do quite well at laying down the hurt with ranged gunfire. Man, this brush is finally starting to go on me. Got a couple rogue bristles on it. Not quite sure what I'm going to do for their weapons yet. These are kind of like a custom power sword that I turned into a halberd. I'm not sure what color I'm going to go with the blades or anything. I'll get that figured out though. For now, we're going to keep trimming the armor. I gotta clean this brush though. It feels so good to finally have one of my Terminators painted. I kind of picked these guys up again, uh, God, like a month ago. Busted them out, put them on my desk, had plans to paint up 10 of them, and just kind of fell off of doing that. I got the base coat of the bone color onto them, and that was about it. Just kind of let them sit again. So actually having one done finally is like so exciting. And it's always exciting to get another model done for this army because of how much trim there is. It's such a sense of accomplishment when one gets done. Can you describe what you're doing as you're doing it? Because this guy's just listening. Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, right now I'm just going through doing the trim work on the Scarab Occult Terminators. Um, Nothing real fancy when it comes to this. Just using a number two, if it shows up, number two Winsor Newton brush to apply my colors. The the colors I go with to make this, it's a series of a brass base coat, which is what I'm putting on right now. For all the gold on the model, it's a brass base coat that gets a wash of a brown color. I use the Army Painter Strong Tone for that. Comparable GW paint would be, I think it's called Agrax Earthshade. Um, so I would use that over the model once I have all the base coats done. The whole thing gets the Agrax or the Strong Tone. Then once that's dry, the gold portion, so all this bronze, would get another wash using Army Painter's purple tone, and that kind of gives it a little bit more of like a color tone to the shadowing rather than just browns and golds. And then once that is done, the gold then gets a highlight pass using a polished gold paint. And that really brings out the highlights in the gold and makes it look more like gold rather than a bronze color. Because I'm going for a kind of like a dirty gold look to everything. Because these guys are supposed to be like living or reanimated automatons, so everything's kind of a little bit older and worn out rather than having a very fresh paint look to them. So right now I'm just going through the fun process using a nice fine tip brush that can also hold a decent bit of paint and going through to do all the base layers. The way I start with the model is I do a quick base layer with the bone white. I use I really enjoy the Vallejo Game Color line of paints. So my base coat on these is one called Bone White. I'll take a nice flat brush and just kind of go over the whole model quickly. Um, Not really worried about what it spills over onto because the other base coats will end up covering that. And then once the Bone White's in place, I go through and I use turquoise that I mix with a little bit of somber gray to desaturate it. I don't want the very super bright look of the turquoise. I just want um, the color kind of there, but I want to desaturate it because I want the demons of the army to be the real bright, vibrant part of it. But I still want to have some of those like purples and blues and all those vibrant colors among the soldiers of the army. So once all the base coats are in, I end up going through with the wash. So I do the bone white base coat, I do the turquoise base coat. Any little like gems or like some of the spots of their armor have these like little eyeballs. I don't know if you guys can see that on his right above the tabard there. Those I kind of do in a jade green color to make them feel like they're more of like a gem or something like that. Once those two colors are in, I go through and I do all the gold trim with the bronze. When the bronze is all done, the model is ready for its first wash. And I just kind of do a blanket wash over the entire thing using Army Painter's Strong Tone. Um, Once that is done, I wait for that to dry, and then the bronze gets another wash of the purple tone. When that dries, it's onto a little bit touch-up work and detailing of the model. So after that, all the gold would get, or all the bronze spots would get the polished gold for highlights and to bring some of the color back up after all the washes. I go back in with the bone white because um, now that the strong tone kind of darkens it, I have to go back in with the color to kind of brighten that back up and do some touch-ups where like some of the other base coats spilled over, things like that. And then once that is all done, I do another mix of the turquoise with the somber gray, but I add a little white into it to make it a brighter hue. And I go over the cloth in those areas to give the highlights on those. Um, the bone white doesn't really get a highlight per se, but after the washes, when you put the bone white over the color, it does kind of highlight it still, and that's how you get this guy with his like backpack where it's all dirty. Come on, come on, camera. Why is this not focusing on the miniature? There we go. You get that kind of like dirty backpack look where you do see the highlights, but the rest of it still kind of looks like it's worn and dirty. So because of all the trim these guys have, it is a long process, um, but it makes it fun. I mean, it gives you something to really dig in and focus on when you're painting them. It's not just a real quick blanket paint job. It's something you have to stay a little bit more detailed on, even with just the base coats. And when I actually play games, I'm starting to use these Terminators a little bit more. They are probably one of the best gunline units that I have available for my army. They do a lot of firepower at a medium range. They don't really have that long of a range and they're kind of slow moving. But when you get something caught in that range, even if their guns aren't really strong enough to wound easily, just the sheer number of shots and the ability of them to punch armor makes them really good. I've been playing around with lists that use a spell with one of the cults that can bring Terminators that have died back with full wounds. And the last game I had played in, while I still lost the game, there was an instance where my Terminators were getting kind of tore apart. And I hit that spell at the best it could possibly hit, and I ended up getting 3 of my Terminators back at full health, and that's always scary because it's hard enough to try to kill one Terminator. So when my opponent's sitting there and suddenly sees 3 of them pop back on the board, that's pretty exciting for me and pretty scary for him. There's actually a couple spots on this model that I forgot to get some of the base coats going. Missed a gem back here. And missed the like stripes on his headdress and shoulder pads. So I am gonna get those put in. Oh, war stories, yeah, totally war stories. I was playing against my friend's Tyranids, and he ran this list that I just didn't know how to deal with. It had it didn't really have much in the way of synapse, so if I kind of killed a certain creature, I could have really made him start taking morale tests, but the problem was he had most of his units were just single model units. So there really was no need for any type of morale because if I killed one, the unit's dead. It didn't have others in the unit that could flee. And it was very difficult to fight because on one end he had little guys that couldn't really do too much to me, but because of the weight of dice, they could chop down some of my guys if they got good numbers on the rolls. And he had a model that could bring back 10 of them to one squad every turn for free. There's no roll for it, anything like that. It just brings them right back into the units. So I didn't really want to focus on those first because on the other side of the board, he had 3 Carnifexes, 2 of which were absolutely geared for murdering Terminators. And I was running a list that was focused on my Terminators. So I had to really focus fire on those things first because if I lost the Terminators, my list was just going to fall apart. And unfortunately, by the time I got through the Carnifexes, I just did not have the firepower and punch to go through all the little guys fast enough to outdo the um, regeneration that the big, we call her Mama, was giving the squads. So it was this really hard fight where it seemed like it was lose lose no matter what I tried to target. I just could not focus one thing because there was too much on the board that I had to deal with. It made for a very interesting match that I got torn apart in. I also had some instances where my army did not do what they should have. Had a model really whiff on all its melee attacks, not do much. I had poor placement at the start of the game, so the model that I wanted to summon my first set of demons with, which my demons weren't going to do much, but they were there to be a screening unit to protect me from getting charged. The model I wanted to do that with, I placed wrong and couldn't actually do the summons with him. So I ended up having to use one of my squad leaders to summon the demons, and he failed miserably and ended up blowing himself up on the summon roll. It was a whole comedy of errors that just led to me getting slaughtered that game. But having the 3 Terminators come back one turn, every other turn I got at least one of them back. That was very exciting because like he's chewing through my hardest to kill unit that's on the board, and he's getting like maybe 2 or 3 of them killed every turn, but I'm also bringing one back every turn. And then the one turn I ended up getting 3 of them back. And that's a scary sight when it's such a hard unit to kill and they just keep coming back. It was quite a fun game. The best part about the game too is we were playing on it was a little out of theme since the terrain I made was for Age of Sigmar, the fantasy version of Warhammer. But it was still nice to play on fully painted terrain. My buddy's army was fully painted, and I just needed to do 10 more Terminators, and it would have been a fully painted army. So I had everything painted except for the 10 Terminators, which kind of sucked because that was the theme of the list, but at the same token, I just did not have the time to get them done before the game. But it was fun because it was close to my first fully painted game, and it was extremely fun playing on terrain that I had crafted and built. One trick when doing base coats, especially in very fine areas like this, is to focus on the recessions of the model first. So whatever is farthest back, do those base coats first, because that way if you slop a little with the paint, you can go back elsewhere, and when you go to the next spot that's higher up on the model, you get to kind of cover up those areas you messed with. So like I'm hitting a lot of these areas that need the gold, but since I haven't done the gold yet, when I go back through and put the gold down, that's going to cover up a lot of that mess and slop from not being too precise with my original base coat. Just a little quick hobby trick when it comes to painting. Which I forgot this was supposed to be turquoise back here. So I'm going to have to retouch up all that gold because I'm going to make a mess with it. So I'm pretty sure that's what I did on this guy. Yeah, it was turquoise. Man, one thing, I cannot believe how fast time flies when I'm streaming. It feels like I just fired up the stream today and it's already 4:37. Another thing you'll probably notice if you're ever watching me on here and I'm painting a model, it's like I have ADD or something when it comes to which part of the model I'm working on. You'll see me just jump around constantly. I'll be working on like one part, getting the base coats down, then next thing you know I'm like on the other side of the model doing one of the base coats. It's I think just an artist thing in general. We tend to just work a little bit here, a little bit there until it all just starts coming together. Because I've heard that from other artists too, how they just jump around during a piece and it's hard to stay focused on just one section of the piece. I think I might go all gold on the blades. Not sure yet. I know this handle is going to be gold. I'll use that cool black leather for the shaft of the weapon, but the handle is going to be gold. The trim work's going to be gold. I'm not sure if I want the blade totally gold or not. I'll see how it looks with the rest of the model and make a decision at that point. There it is. One thing's for sure, I am itching to get another game in. Itching to get these guys back on the table and playing around with the new 9th edition rules of 40K. Because every time I play, me and my friend consider it 8.5 that we've been playing. Haven't fully adopted all the rules for 9th edition yet, but at the same token, we've been adding little bits of them in at a time. So that way we can slowly build up to understanding them all and not get overwhelmed with an entire new rule set for the game. Absolutely love the look of these models, but if I were to do, well, actually I do have a second army. I'll eventually start painting them more. Um, the Gene Stealer Colts definitely went with an army that does not have trim like this on their armor. I love the look of them. I love how they turn out, but painting this much trim can sometimes be super tedious, and sometimes it's just like it feels like it'll never end. You're sitting here just little bits of trim, and then you look at how much you've actually finished and how much is actually left on the model. It's like, oh my god, there's so much more to do. In a second here, I'll grab that first tree we made earlier. The paste is probably, or the Mod Podge is probably pretty close to being dry on it. I'll take a look at it and show you guys what the first step looks like. I'll probably add the other layers off stream either this weekend or next week, and that way we can revisit it and I can paint those sometime next week. Which I actually saw a really cool video from one of the other modelers that I've seen on YouTube. He had a video up on his Instagram. He's been doing this a lot lately where he'll just be walking around on some hikes and explaining with nature different things about how you should paint. And he's been pointing out that while a lot of miniature painters go straight to brown for trees, when you actually look around, they're gray. They're not brown. And he was walking around pointing out various trees on his hike and showing that, look, it's not brown, it's gray. That one over there, it's gray. And I thought that was very surprising because I'm one of the culprits of grabbing my brown paints and painting trees. So I think when I go about these two for show, we will take a look at doing them more gray and going from there and seeing how that turns out and bring out maybe more realism in the painting. Not sure if the camera's really picking it up on certain spots, but if you guys notice as I'm doing this trim work, I'm doing a lot of painting with actually the side of my brush. And that helps you not actually overpaint when it comes to doing the trim. Because if you're kind of going straight down with it and you slip a little bit, you're going to slip right off that trim and you're going to hit the spots that you don't want the gold color from the trim. But if you go with the side of the brush and you slip a little bit, you're not really falling into the recessed area of the model yet. So you can actually go relatively quick with your brush on this trim work rather than having to be very, very precise while you're doing the trim. Little tricks of how to use the brush properly to your advantage. Still a tedious process though, it's trim work. Welcome to Chaos Armies. And then there's spots like the circle around this shoulder pad that no matter how hard you try and what techniques you use, it's probably gonna get a little bit of paint on the other areas. But I never worry about that too much because A, this is a personal model, so I'm not that worried about it being super precise. And B, I go so heavy-handed with the washes that in a lot of cases a little paint overspill is never going to be seen because the wash will darken that area up and totally hide it. But I've seen the viewer count jump up a little bit lately, so for those of you just joining us, the last couple days I was painting one of my first Scarab Occult Terminators. He's actually pretty much done. I'm waiting for the textured paint on the base to dry so I can paint him up. I'll show you one of my other models in a second of how I do the bases. I just moved on to the second Terminator and getting all his base coats down and ready for washes. The ground plane will eventually be kind of like a red rock or red earth kind of terrain. I like the contrast that those colors have on the vibrant purples and pinks and teals of my army, as well as the contrast that the red has with the cream color of my army. Here's one of my basic rubric Marines. So all the cloth is kind of a little bit different with the army. One of my sorcerers, the one I just showed you, has the purple cloth, which matches the purple of the rubric Marines. I'll have other sorcerers that have the turquoise cloth that's going to match with these Scarab Occult Terminators. I will also have, actually I'm not sure if I'm going to do a squad in the same color, but he'll come up on the slideshow here and there. Ahriman, the named Exalted Sorcerer, he has kind of like a, man, I don't even know how to describe the color. It's like a mix of orange and like magenta that I did. I was kind of thinking nobody else in the army would have that color. He would be kind of unique in having that color of cloth. So that way he really stands out when he's placed onto the field with the army. And he's like an auto include. Anytime I play, he's in the lists. Alright, we're looking at about 10 minutes left on stream for today, ending around 5. Might go a couple minutes later because I'm kind of engrossed on this trim work and wanted to show those trees before I called it on here. But we are definitely going to find somebody who's online right now and gonna pop over on a raid with them. Lots of fantastic miniature painters in this Twitch community that I've been meeting, talking with, supporting. They've been super supportive of me, letting me share links, letting me show my work, and just kind of get the word out that I was going to be streaming soon. And that helped made this a super easy launch. Had a lot of people that were already waiting for me to launch and waiting to see my work just from the support that I had from the miniature community. So anytime I am streaming, anytime any of them pop in here, I am trying to be as supportive as possible to other artists because of how much love and support has been shown in the community to me. It's a wonderful community with a lot of wonderful people. And I am super glad to be a part of it now. And not just hanging around lurking in people's comments and chats, actually on here being one of the providers of the entertainment. So let me do a little bit more on this gold. We'll pop over, I'll show you guys where the tree is at that we threw the Mod Podge on. And then I am going to find us somebody we can go raid and check out. Had a couple streams going on, or lurking streams in the background. Every time my music gets a little quieter, I hear a little bit of that going on, so definitely some people still streaming today, so we'll see who's around. As always, I appreciate everybody who hung out for the day, participated in chat, lurked, just popped in and said hi and peaced out while leaving a page up. Every bit helps. Helps with the numbers, helps with me feeling better about doing this, everything. So I really appreciate you guys hanging out, saying hi, everything. Makes it a good experience, not just for everybody else in chat, but for me as well. Makes it feel like, there's actually a reason to be doing this, and I love that. So yeah, I'm gonna stop there. Thanks for streaming. You're natural. When are you streaming next? It's gonna be Monday, Wednesday, Thursday as my 3 days throughout the week that I'm for sure on. I don't know the times yet. I'll have an update on my channel page come tomorrow. Here, let me switch over to this screen. I'll have an update on my channel page sometime tomorrow with the specifics of what time slots on those days, but I know for sure it's going to be Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. Here is where we're at on the tree. Paste is pretty much dry, at least the first layer. There's a couple spots that aren't. But that'll dry up, harden a little bit, and it'll get 2 more layers of the Woodland Scenics Flex Paste. And once that's done, I'll take care of that off stream. We will have a day where I go about painting these guys. So I'm going to find somebody to... Nope, not that one. We want that one. I'm going to find somebody to go raid, and we'll go from there. So thank you again, everybody, for hanging out in the stream. I really appreciate you all being here. It was a blast. See what I think. Sent me a vid. Oh, sweet. I will check that out, Chad. Didn't even know you were hanging out lurking here. Appreciate you being here. I see another miniature painter that I haven't really been on his page much, but he was doing a co-stream with somebody else. So we're gonna go check him out and see what's going on, see what he's got being painted for the day. But again, thank you everybody for being here. Really appreciate it. It's always a blast streaming. Oh, you just got here, Chad? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was 1 to 5 today. So, I need a little break. I need to go eat some food. Had some stuff planned for later and got to clean up around the house. So, that's what I'm taking care of later today. But yeah, thanks for popping by and saying hi. I'll check out the vid you sent. Where'd you send it to me? Okay, I see it. It's a text. I gotcha. Yeah, I'll give that a look, and I'll respond to you in just a few minutes here. We're gonna go raid Wandering XP, miniature painter that was doing a co-stream with one of the guys that I usually follow. So we're gonna go raid him, see what he's got going on, and yeah, I will see you all Monday. I'm not sure what time yet. Check back in on my channel tomorrow about midday. I'll have an updated schedule with the weekly breakdown. So thanks again everybody and I will talk to you later.